got to the point where I can't just sit at home and be upset. How can we make a difference in our community?
Moms demand action. It's a grassroots movement of moms desperate for change.
I decided I need to take action, and that's what our group is all about.
MOMCAST is sitting down with Laura, Val, Roxy, and Gail. Each of these mothers compelled to do something, motivated by monstrosities. Uvalde, Sandy Hook, Parkland, turning their utter horror and pain into action.
Our voices matter.
They've got children of their own, and they're demanding lawmakers to keep their kids safe, especially at school.
Arizona is a tough state, but at least we can be together and really try to figure out ways to move forward and just make our community safer.
Their mission, their goals, and how they work together as volunteers, as community members, and as mothers on a campaign for change. It's right now on MOMCAST.
How did it get started, and how did you all get involved? Who wants to take this first? Laura?
Sure. So Shannon Watts was the co-founder or the founder of Moms Demand Action, and she just started it with a Facebook group, putting it out there for other moms who were upset about the violence happening in our schools, the outrage after Sandy Hook. I got involved. I actually went to a meeting that Gail invited me to, just put it out there for everybody in the Surprise area. And it was when my daughter started kindergarten. And I thought, I have to be part of a solution if she's going to school every day.
Gail, so it sounds like out of everyone here, have you been involved the longest, and how did you get your start?
I think I've been in Moms for 4 years, and I was looking at the Uvalde shooting. And of course, I started screaming and crying about it in my kitchen, like, how can this continue to happen? And I thought, wait a minute, is screaming and crying actually doing anything? I have to be involved in the solution. So I just started Googling, anti-gun violence groups or gun safety groups, and Moms Demand Action comes up first and foremost. I joined, I put in my zip code, I was contacted, I went on a couple Zoom meetings, got to know the organization, fell in love with the work. Laura and I became the West Valley leads, but now we became the state leads. So we like to be in touch with all of the different chapters and support them. So yeah, passion for this has to stop. This violence has to stop.
You mentioned you and how you've been in. Why did you get involved? What got you involved in Moms Demand Action?
Sure. So Moms Demand Action is one of the largest grassroots volunteer network throughout the country. And really the main goal of Moms Demand Action is to make our community safer. And so for me, and I think sadly everyone can hit a different trigger point as to what is making them want to get more involved. And for me, it was Parkland. And when my kids started entering the school age and they start doing lockdown drills and they come home as little kindergartners telling me about what's going on at school that day, you start to realize how this is impacting our kids every single day. Plus the community members that we meet throughout all of our events and meetings. We are meeting gun violence survivors every day. And these are different people. Every event we talk about around the community, it's someone new coming to us with their story, which is just devastating and tragic. And so for me, just kind of like what Gail and everyone will say here is, got to the point where I can't just sit at home and be upset. How can we make a difference in our community? Arizona is a tough state, but at least we can be together and really try to figure out ways to move forward and just make our community safer.
You say that Arizona is a tough state. Why do you say that?
It's really tough when in regards to our gun safety laws. It's just definitely a harder place to advocate. So a lot of the work that we do is advocating for safer gun laws in the state of Arizona. So right now, with the way things are structured and the way that we are working with our local legislators and lawmakers, is just trying to figure out a way to move forward just to keep our communities safer, especially from gun violence.
Val, what about you? What was the point where you were like, I've got to do something?
I have a similar story to Gail, where I recall I had just had my second child and I was watching the Uvalde Elementary School or the Robb Elementary School tragedy unfold. And we all share that feeling of hopelessness and helplessness. And I was tired of feeling that way. And so I decided I need to take action. And that's what our group is all about, is standing up and demanding action to prevent gun violence in our communities.
Okay, so you sign up and you get involved, But then what happens? What do you do from there? What does Moms Demand Action actually do?
When the legislature convenes, we watch all of the gun legislation bills that are going to go through the legislature. We watch them very carefully. There's what we call bad bills and good bills. And so we get on RTI, we write our senators, our legislators. We go down to the Capitol and we sit in so that they see us, so that they know that we want safer gun laws. So we're very active when the legislature is going on, because we know that the best way to change anything is through the laws. And we also hold groups maybe at a Starbucks, or we go to PTOs, we go to different organizations to let them know about gun safety. So Be Smart is a part of Moms Demand Action, and it is teaching people to have secure gun storage. And we have a huge group that tells people about locking your guns up, and if your child goes to spend the night at someone else's home, ask if they have guns and ask if they're securely stored. So we have two parts to moms, and the Be Smart program is often given at PTOs or different parent groups, just as if your child went to a house with a swimming pool.
Okay, so Val, when you signed up, what did the next couple of steps look like? If moms are interested and they're at home and they're thinking, man, like I do see these school shootings happen and there is something I want to do, what does that look like?
When I signed up, I think I texted because I found online there's a quick, what's the number?
64433. If you text READY to 64433, you will get an automatic message from Moms Demand Action to show you where your local events might be happening in the upcoming weeks.
And then you get enrolled in all of the communication that comes out. So emails and RSVP links to start to join all of the chapter meetings or the Zoom calls that are happening statewide. So the first step is, yes, information on your chapter and what events are coming up that you can join. And there is a variety of events throughout the calendar year. So it's really about joining, getting engaged, attending the events, learning, educating, advocating, getting the word out.
My conversation with the mothers from Moms Demand Action continues right after this break.
MOMCAST is sponsored by Moxie Pest Control, protecting what matters most.
Welcome back to MOMCAST. I'm Emma Jade. My conversation continues with Moms Demand Action.
One of the most staggering recent stats is firearms are the #1 killer of children under the age of 18. And so when we see these numbers increasing every day, every year, we have to figure out a way to really make a difference and make a change. So finding a chance for all of us to be together, I think is a way to just really understand that you aren't alone. And I think that's the power of what this group does. And even though we say Moms Demand Action, it's really mothers and others. So we have men and women and people from all different backgrounds coming together. We have gun owners that are there. We have gun violence survivors there. We have people that are lawmakers that are coming just to figure out how they can help us and support us. And we support one another with the whole work that we do.
Laura, is there legislation that you think is working in other states that you wish we could bring to Arizona, or anything that you want here to be done?
Yeah, so there's one here in Arizona that we've been working for a while to try to get through. It's called Christian's Law. And it just requires people to securely store their firearms when there's children in the home.
That's it.
That is it. That's all we're asking is if you have a firearm, lock it up, store the ammunition separately. Make sure that your children do not have access to it, because kids are curious. Somebody in your home could touch it. They could grab it. Unintentional things happen. And the first thing that we can do is just stop that from happening.
That seems like a no-brainer, but you are getting pushback on that. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell me what it's like. Yeah, tell me about that, because these are moms who obviously want to keep their kids safe. So what does that look like?
That's why we say Arizona is tough. It's hard to even get a lot of these bills that are something as simple as, hey, please just store your firearms. Let's make it a rule. Let's make it a law that you have to do this. They don't even get hearings. They don't even ever make it to the floor where they have the chance of being put into law. And that's one great thing about being part of Moms Demand Action is our voices matter. So when we have this large group of amazing people, mothers and others, who are reaching out and saying, hey, we know that this law is put together, we know it has a sponsor, we want it to be heard in committee, we want to see it heard on the floor, that is how we get these things pushed through.
Val, this can get really frustrating. How do you deal with it? How do you handle it?
We want everyone to know that we support responsible gun ownership. That's a huge part of our advocacy. And a startling statistic is that the ages that are most likely to get a hold of an unsecured firearm in the house and cause harm and death are the ages 14 to 17 and preschool. So the common myth is that preschoolers or young children, toddlers, do not know where to find a gun, do not know how to pull the trigger, and that's not true. And so we want to advocate for responsible gun ownership, and we want to work with the legislation. We want to, frankly, fight the gun industry and the gun lobby to pass what we know are common sense gun laws. If you walked down the road and asked the common Arizona citizen and resident, how do you feel about a bill that would hold gun owners responsible for killing someone or severely harming someone if they simply did not secure their firearm? We know that the majority of the public would agree. I want to hold them responsible to deter further acts of irresponsibility. So we're talking about common sense gun laws that other states have passed that have shown to deter irresponsible gun ownership.
Yes, Gail, please.
Arizona is ranked 48th in the nation for gun safety laws. 48th. We have a lot of work to do. 48th.
You know, and it's interesting because each of you brought up, unfortunately, a different shooting. I mean, we had Parkland, we talked about Sandy Hook, and we talked about Uvalde. And isn't that so sad that even after these horrific instances that we're still in this place? How do you not get to a point where you're like, is my voice, does it even matter at this point?
Oh, that's a hard thing for me to talk about. I think what's really, and I'll start crying, so get ready, Rich. We've met with a Tucson gun violence survivor, and she was at the Las Vegas shooting. And when she presents and talks to us about her experience, and she still has bullet fragments throughout her body, it takes some people a second to say, Las Vegas shooting? What was the concert shooting. And we get to the point where we're having these conversations like, I don't even remember what school shooting was that? What mass tragedy was that? That is terrible to hear. And I'm like, we are becoming so desensitized to these news segments that they make the news and the next day we're moving on because you know what, there's another event that happened. And in reality, school shootings are a small percentage of these mass tragedies that we're seeing in our country. There's gun violence every day, and we're seeing it in our communities, whether, especially here in Phoenix, we're seeing it throughout the state of Arizona. It's not just these mass shootings that we're hearing on the news. So again, when we're talking about gun violence, these things are really scary when we're seeing these big national events happening, but we're also talking about the everyday and also these preventable shootings, what Val was talking about, not having a secure firearm in the home and a child being hurt or killed by that firearm in their home. We have to make a difference and we have to keep going. We just have to.
Have to.
Have to.
You guys have this this breakdown. It's Be Smart. Can you go through SMART for me, Val? What is that?
Be Smart is our program. It's a bipartisan program where we visit schools, PTOs, parenting groups, and we teach secure gun storage in the home or in the car. So Be Smart, S stands for secure gun storage. So ensure that your guns and your firearms are secured. As Laura said, ammunition stored separately. What we like to say, hidden does not mean secured. So how many times have your young children found something, whether it's candy or a toy that you thought they would never find, or any other things that you did not want them to find? So S is secure, and hidden does not mean secure. M is model. So we want gun owners, responsible gun owners, to model the right behavior. So to teach your children to, I think the word respect is thrown out there a lot, but to respect a firearm, but to also understand rules like if you see a firearm, run and go tell an adult. So we want responsible gun owners to teach their children and their family and their network to model responsible gun ownership.
We talk ways that you can get involved. You're watching MOMCAST. More right after this break.
MOMCAST is sponsored by Moxie Pest Control, protecting what matters most.
Welcome back to MOMCAST. I'm Emma Jade. My conversation continues with Moms Demand Action.
To teach your children to, I think the word respect is thrown out there a lot, but to respect a firearm, but to also understand rules like if you see a firearm, run and go tell an adult. So we want responsible gun owners to teach their children and their family and their network to model responsible gun ownership. A is ask. So this is one of my favorite calls to action for the PTOs and the parenting groups that we talk to. We want to normalize the question, do you have guns in your home and how are they secured? Just like I'm sending my child to your home and they have allergies, would you mind putting your peanuts away or whatever it is? Do you have a pool at your home? Is it fenced? So just simply ask. I know we're going to be having each other's children to our homes. I don't have any guns in my home, but I'd like to know if you do, and how are they secured? How are they stored? And if the parent on the other end is offended, well, you know your answer, and you should probably change your plans. But we want to normalize and give other parents the confidence and the knowledge on how to approach that sometimes uncomfortable question. R stands for recognize. So this is a tough one, but we want the public to recognize the role of firearms in suicide. Firearms are heavily used in suicides, and the death rate in firearm suicides is really high. It's hard to come back from. So we encourage responsible gun owners that if there is a family member or a friend that is having a hard time, we want you to get the guns out of the house. That's the best case scenario. If you cannot do that, we want you to ensure that you're following our guidelines for secure gun storage in the home. And then the last T is tell. Tell everyone about the Be Smart program. Tell your school, your PTO, your parenting group about the Be Smart program, and let's get the word out on the guidelines for secure gun storage.
Roxy, unfortunately, the reality that we live in, and something that was so hard for me as a mom, is sending my kids to school every day. And especially I was going through postpartum and I already had anxious thoughts. Every single day I thought about, what if this happened to my kid? That's the reality that we live in. And as a mom, you guys are giving people a place to channel that anxiousness and channel those nerves into doing something good. That must feel like you're really making a change here.
Yes, I think really, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, that the chance to have community with each other and really having these conversations. We just went to one of our local schools to have this conversation, and the amount of parents that come up to us afterwards that not only thank us for the conversation that we're starting, but really understanding that they aren't alone in their anxiety and their fears of their everyday. And so I think, again, having a chance for us to talk to one another, to work together, and even just having a shared space. So most of us meet monthly in a local area that we can gather and meet. Changing Hands is my happy favorite place, and so we usually host our events there. Hosting our events there, we get to see and meet new people. And sometimes just being there is all they need to do. But really an opportunity for us to gather together, especially when there has been a recent tragic event. It's really a chance for us to come together and realize that we aren't alone in this fight, and figuring out a way to move forward.
People are watching this and they're thinking, man, I got to get involved. What do they need to be on the lookout for? And what can they get behind, as voters and as members of the community?
Gosh, there's so much. So the first step is texting READY to 64433. That will get you into the loop where you will know about meetings and events. And even if you can't make a meeting, if you can't come to an event, read the emails, because there's a lot of action items on there. Request to Speak is a great tool we have in Arizona, where it's a website. You can go in, you can vote thumbs up or thumbs down bills. You can put in there a statement how you feel about it. If you want to drive downtown and testify, you can sign up to testify, but you don't have to. You never have to leave your home. You can literally influence how our senators and our representatives know how they should respond by just going on request to speak. And I think that is one of the best tools we have in this state during the legislative session.
I just want to add that before I joined Moms Demand Action, I didn't understand what my options were to take action and impact common sense gun laws. I actually probably didn't even know what a common sense gun law was. So Everytown is a wonderful organization for us to be a part of because they present evidence-based solutions and bills in other states that have proven to impact gun violence and to support prevention. And so that's what I learned, and I'm still very much learning through Moms Demand Action, is as a little citizen in the state of Arizona, what is my impact and what can I do to vote for the policies that I believe in, or to communicate to my legislators as their constituent, here's how I want you to vote, and here's why. So when we talk about what keeps us going, you will always see the tragedies unfold on the media and the news, unfortunately. But what I try to focus on is the tiny little wins and setbacks, but the tiny little wins that happen behind the scenes when we block a bad bill, when we block a bill, when we are part of blocking a bill that I feel is going to increase gun violence or make it easier to access a firearm for those who have ill intent. So there's little wins and there's lots of learnings along the way about how everyday citizens can vote for or vote against policies that they believe in, and how they can shout and communicate with the legislators that are supposed to be representing them to say, I don't want this bill and here's why. Please vote it down or please block it. So that would be a huge learning, and a call to action for me is join Moms Demand Action so that you can understand how our state legislature works and what your little impact can do to which common sense gun bills are passed and which scary ones are blocked.
I think that I work with the best people on earth. I think these moms are amazing because they all work, they're raising families, and they devote their time for this issue because we also want to represent the victims, our neighbors that have been a victim of gun violence. So we're advocates for the good, and we ask anybody to join us, mothers and others.
My thanks to these incredible women, mothers and others who are working to create change right here in our community. And if you want to get involved too, head to momsdemandaction.org. You're watching MOMCAST. I'm Emma Jade. We'll see you next week.
MOMCAST is sponsored by Moxie Pest Control, protecting what matters most.